I've been given the keys to a Bugatti Veyron and I've got 12 hours to use it as a daily. I have 3 tasks to nail in my 12 hours, as well as sneaking away to some country roads to see what a Veyron is actually like to drive. This is my steed for the day, this beautiful white 16.4 Veyron. We're picking the car up here at Furlonger, and if you guys have seen our previous video from here, you will know that we did some servicing and I got to do some light work on this very car. I imagine most of you know exactly what a Bugatti Veyron is. If you don't, maybe if you're a bit younger, this is a Bugatti Veyron. Back in 2005, this thing was the fastest road car in the world, taking the crown from the McLaren F1, 253 miles an hour. How did it get there? Well, mostly down to the engine in the back, an 8-litre quad turbo W16 that put out 1,001 horsepower in British 987 brake horsepower. The term legend gets thrown around quite a lot in the car world. This is actually one. Matt, thanks for having us back.
No worries.
Are you sure about this?
Yeah, I mean, we promised it, so I don't really think we can retract it. So yeah, I'm sure. You know, you need a little bit of a briefing on the driving of it, but listen, you've driven lots of cars, so I'm sure you'll be fine.
Well, just so I have some kind of mind insurance going on, how much is roughly this car worth?
1.65 million. So it's, yeah, keep it on the black stuff one.
Okay, so genuinely, what advice do you have for me for driving a Bugatti Veyron?
I think the thing about them actually is they're actually very docile and easy to drive. So the size is nice, and I think you'll find initially it's an easy thing to drive. I think what you've got to remember is there's 1,000 horsepower under your right foot, and 8 litres, 4 turbochargers. Typical sort of turbocharged engine, you know, it does come in with quite a lot of vigour. And I think what I would do is when you first want to give it a little squirt, I would use manual, because I think then you can pick what gear it is, because it's got a way of kicking down, and I think the first time you kick down 1,000 horsepower, you probably you might be hanging on. So I think ease into it with the gears, and then you'll find it less disconcerting, I think, than just putting your foot down.
Okay, well, I've got a few missions today, but you have one specifically for me.
Yeah, I need a new office plant, so I think it's really important. A, you keep it on the black stuff, and B, you get us a new office plant.
Okay, easy.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Cool, mate.
Something I need to be when driving this Veyron is sharp between the ears. In the past, I would have just reached for a Red Bull, but I've recently transitioned to the sponsor of today's video, Holy. My usual energy drinks are full of sugar, taurine, so they're not great for you, and they're really quite expensive these days. Holy, on the other hand, has a combination of vitamins that provides a calm, long-lasting focus instead of a manic spike of energy that then leaves you knackered later on. Let's crack on with some Holy energy, and I fancy Raspberry Raptor because it reminds me of the Golden Eagles we filmed on Arran. What's the Raptor got? Oh yeah, that takes me back. That tastes like my favourite chewy sweet. Oh yeah, that's tasty as hell. Very nice. I'd recommend going for the starter set deluxe that comes with 42 sachets of Holy Energy, Holy Hydration and Holy Iced Tea, all for $49.99. Now I get that $49.99 may seem like a lot, but when you break that down, that's just over £1 per serving, which is a pretty good deal for a high quality nutrient packed drink. Also, if you use the discount code DRIVETRIBE5, you'll get £5 off your first order, which brings it down to around £1 per serving. Use the discount code DRIVETRIBE5 to get a £5 discount on your first order with a minimum spend of $14.99, and DRIVETRIBE for 10% off for bigger orders or for any order after the first one. Let's start her up. This feels no less special than it did a couple of weeks ago. It's not a beautiful V12 noise, it's just that's a rumble. There's so much grunt behind this thing. And I'm gonna drive it. Seatbelts on, please. Hassan, I'm gonna put this into drive. Final chance. Are you sure?
Let's do it.
Good, thank you. Initially, it's definitely more jiggly than I thought. I think I'm used to much stiffer supercars, but back in 2005, I imagine this seems stiff, but actually it's really quite supple. It means the car's bouncing about a bit, but it's not harsh. It's absorbing all the bumps. Okay, my first roundabout in a Bugatti Veyron. Left-hand drive makes it a wee bit trickier because you're kind of staring across the cameras here. Yeah, well, I'm going to be super safe. Okay, he's going that way. Fine, we're in. Now, watch out, Peugeot. Keep your distance, my son. We've navigated it. We're away. Oh, it's so smooth. I feel like in other supercars from this time, in traffic like this, you'd be worried about it overheating, but just the feel of everything and the sounds it's making, I imagine Volkswagen just had it completely covered. Like I can't see one of these getting tricky in terms of temperature. There's a temperature gauge, which I'm going to keep my eye on, of course. Oh my God, that lorry was large.
My first mission, I had to stock up on snacks, so the first port of call was Sainsbury's.
And here we are, destination number 1 in a Veyron. First speed bump, successful. He's loving it.
Yeah,
We've finally got a Veyron fan. It's gone quite under the radar thus far. I really want to meet someone that thinks they're the absolute shit in like their BMW M5 or something. And then it's like, yeah, cool, mate.
I'm sure we'll get overtaken by an M4.
Yeah.
It'll be on our bumper or something.
We like our snacks at DRIVETRIBE and we have a whole week of shoots ahead. So we need to stock up. How much of a food shop can you fit in a Veyron? Probably not very much. More crisps. I know what the crew are like. We're going to need a lot of this. A British supermarket lunch doesn't scream. You're driving a Veyron. It's pretty grim if I'm honest. Has a Veyron ever been in a Sainsbury's car park? Maybe. Seeing as there's a W16 where the boot should be, I'm just gonna put these here. Nice. Good man. I'll close this for you.
Thanks.
Mission 1 complete. This car almost lulls you into thinking that you're not in a 1.6 million quid hypercar. It's you almost start just like palming it and having your hands low on the steering wheel. I have to keep concentrating, saying, right, 10 to 2.
Yeah.
This is a serious piece of kit.
What's funny is it's not that the novelty wears off, but when you've been driving one for a short period, or you've driven a couple of them, you become very familiar very quickly with the proportions, how the car drives, all that sort of thing.
The steering's really nice as well. Like for a big, powerful all-wheel drive car, like say something like a GTR, it can be quite notchy and the steering doesn't feel like that nice. This is beautiful the way it goes down the road.
Seeing one of these in public is even more special now than back when they came out, as in a world where Rimacs, Koenigseggs and Chirons exist, you have to be a true nostalgic enthusiast to be kicking about in a Veyron.
So mission number 2. In a couple of days' time, me and the squad are heading up to Yorkshire for a barn find episode, where we want to resurrect a car that's been sat in a barn for 17 years without running. That means we're going to need some supplies, so some fresh spark plugs, some cans for petrol, probably some penetrant, and in the UK, there's only one place to go. We're doing a Halfords run in a Veyron. And there it is. That big orange and black board means only one thing.
I have a question.
Yes?
Where are you planning on putting all this stuff?
Am I right in saying there is a frunk?
There is a frunk, yeah.
Yeah, it'll go in there, surely. Nope. It goes from BMW to Chevrolet. No Bugatti, that's a disappointment. Ford Fiesta, Ford Fiesta, Opel Vivaro, no Veyron. Success. Okay, how big is the frunk of a Veyron? Ooh, that's not bad. It's got some depth to it. Battery. Oh, easy. That's beautiful. Can heel go in there. Penetrant heel slot in there. Lucky that they didn't have the spark plugs we needed, but will this shut? I'm going to do it very carefully. That was like 10% throttle. This thing's going to be really quick.
What was that, about 2.5, 3K?
Oh, nothing.
Yeah.
I imagine this kind of transmission wear was okay back in the early mid-2000s, but I imagine a Chiron is much more refined than this. So I don't think millionaire, billionaire customers would actually put up with some of the mechanical noises going on back there.
I think when you look at customers or owners of Chiron, or people that would buy contemporary hypercars, if they would be happy with that or find that suitable. I mean, I'd imagine there are some people that wouldn't enjoy it, but then you get the purists that would like all those factors, like the mechanical noises of the wing retracting or moving, and the way the suspension works and stuff like that.
With the car bits and bobs snugly secured, we headed for arguably the greatest challenge this 253-mile-an-hour car has ever faced: a garden centre.
The most lethal thing in this car park is old Mrs. McPherson in her pink Honda Jazz with cracked bumpers front and back. Stay away, Mrs. McPherson. £1.6 million. Final mission. You ready for this one? This could be your biggest test yet.
Oh, the question is, how big's the plant going to be?
Well, Veyron big. Okay, mission's accomplished. How you doing over there, Hassan?
Living the dream.
Did you ever think this situation would ever be a thing?
Anything's possible.
Do you think a Veyron has ever been to a garden centre? Never mind just Dobbies. I think we can strike that one off. But just a garden centre in general.
Potentially. It's unlikely, because why would someone take one to a garden centre?
Next question is, how quick has a potted plant ever been?
Shall we find out?
Holy! Are all the leaves still attached? Calm down. Let's get it back to furlonger. We cannot let Matt down.
With my missions complete for the day, we emptied the Veyron before heading out into the wilds to see what this thing was really like when you put the foot down.
I remember the first time I saw one of these in person. I don't think I've ever seen one moving, but I remember seeing one at the NEC Classic Car Show. It was sat there statically. It was the classic, like, black and blue.
Interesting you say that the first one you saw was black and blue, because I remember I used to go to a boarding school in Canterbury, and there were a lot of students from overseas, and I'll never forget, on one morning prior to our morning break, one of the students came and knocked on the door and burst in with a massive smile on their face and said, there's a Bugatti Veyron outside.
No way.
And everyone was sort of going, no there wasn't, no there isn't, there's no way there's a Veyron. And he was going, no, everyone needs to come and see it. And I remember this exhilarating feeling of thinking, oh my God, there's one here in the flesh. I've never seen one in the flesh before. And I came outside to this also black and blue, it would have been black with Bugatti blue two-tone, Veyron that had been delivered to one of the students for their birthday. So yeah, that was...
it was gifted as his car?
I'm pretty sure it was his birthday present. I remember him getting in the car and then everyone waving him off down the road to go on holiday.
Bloody hell.
So he must have been, he would have been in sixth form, so he would have been 18.
Let's hear some 16 cylinders. There they are. Okay. That's the first little morsel of all 16. The surface we've found isn't great. It's an old military road, but it's all we've got. Let's give it some beans.
Oh, it's not really an engine that you want to rev out. You just want those 4 turbos to get to work. And my God, it catapults you down the road.
Flooring the Veyron is like that relentless acceleration and surge that a plane gives you on takeoff, but instead of being comfortably 30 feet off the tarmac, your arse is only half a foot from the road.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, I think we got up to about 750 horsepower there. We've still got 250 to go. What a machine. What is also just as impressive as the engine are the brakes. The way this thing comes to a stop. I don't know what speed I need to be doing for the air brake to come up, but my God, this thing anchors on. Oh, the guttural noise coming out of that 8-litre engine. It's addictive. Second gear. There we go, that was 6,000 RPM. It's absolutely ballistic. What an engine. And the power delivery, I gather it's 70-30 rear to front. Oh, okay, there's the speed limit. There she is. I remember in my S3 physics project when I was 14, I talked about this car and its numbers and its feat of engineering. Clarkson referred to it as a Concorde moment for cars. It takes a stab of the throttle to understand exactly what he meant. Does it feel like a supercar? Yes and no. It goes just as quick, if not quicker, than anything else I've driven. But does it fundamentally feel like a sort of thoroughbred, highly strung supercar? Not really. If I'm honest, it feels like a very, very powerful Bentley Continental GT. And that is a compliment, because that's a bloody good car. It's just that the Continental is missing 4 cylinders and about 400 horsepower.
Other hugely impressive things are the Veyron's brakes and gearbox. The brakes anchor on just as impressively as the car accelerating, and despite being an early DSG box, the shifts are modern quick, making Ferrari's old F1 shift and Lambo's E-gear seem sluggish as hell.
4th gear, flat chat. Oh, Jesus, we're way... You don't have a chance to check the revs or check the speedo. You have to look way ahead to make sure that you're not going to have a massive accident, frankly. Interestingly, the engine, it wants to rev, even with those turbos, but you want to change up at like 4.5, 5, because that's where the real bucket of torque is. You can rev it out, but it just doesn't really seem worth it. You get that 16-cylinder growl, the torque comes in, and it just feels right to flick up a gear before the revs go any further. It just punches you down the road. Think having recently driven that W10 BMW, that prototype car that Volkswagen were using, it just makes it ever more baffling that this car actually made it to production, albeit limited production, but 450, like that's a decent chunk of cars. This thing really should only ever have been on a Geneva Motor Show stand, twirling round in 2005 saying, oh, look what we can do. But who would actually go ahead and make this thing and hand them out to the public? And yet Ferdinand Piëch thought, yep, we're going to do that. It's going to be the ultimate car. Being an engine guy, it was special just to do some servicing on this car. To now be driving it, I cannot thank the guys at Furlonger more. This has just been an amazing day. Today I fulfilled my Top Gear dream. I was 11 years old when I first saw one of these on the television, beating Hammond and May to London from northern Italy. Yes, the Chiron and the Tourbillon to come are probably better cars, but for me and that 11-year-old Mike, this is the king. This is peak car. What do you guys think? Tell me
in the comments below.